Now that we have a baby, we have all kinds of new literature, so to have a place to keep that, I want to make a bookcase to go right behind this chair. I'm going to make this bookcase out of some nice oak veneered plywood. I found that part of a bed frame next to a dumpster in a townhouse complex. Having cut the pieces to width, I now need to cut them to length, and I'm employing a couple of tricks here. The first trick is to make a backwards scoring cut so that way I avoid tear out on the bottom from the veneer. And the other trick I'm using is to put a board in front of the fence, and that allows me to temporarily bypass the block that I'm using as a length stop. So here's the shelves, and here's the sides of the shelves. And to cover up this ugly edge, I'm going to cut that from some trim that also came from this bed frame. Now I'll trim this trim flush with the surface using a flush trim bit on the router. I got the shelves and the sides all trimmed, and now I want to put these together, but because these are already varnished, I figure the best way to go about this is to just put it together with a whole bunch of dowels, like this one. Now this does require drilling a whole bunch of holes into the ends of the shelves, which can be difficult. What's useful is to use a doweling jig, like this one, and then drill through the holes. But I'm going to experiment with making a one-time use doweling jig out of this piece of hardwood. Well, so far this jig has worked out really well, but the real test comes when I put this thing together. Well, I should have dry fitted that joint. Turns out my dowels were 1 millimeter too long, so I had to work really fast. No time to set up the camera. With one side of the shelf glued up, I now have to mate all the boards with the holes here. So I have to glue 28 dowels together all at once. So I got my clamps and my mallet and everything ready, and I'm going to start by gluing all the dowels into here. Oh boy, here we go. Well, that was a very tense 8 minutes for me, but the joints are all closed now. Tell you though, maybe just use pocket holes, it's so much easier. This is the bottom of the shelf, and my original intention was to have it sit on something like this and then the base here, but then I realized if I inset that into a rabbet here, I won't have to hide the end grain of this, and I cut that rabbet with a panther router just because it was the most convenient for me. I'm just nailing that on there because it's on the bottom of the shelf and nobody's going to see it. And here's the base for the shelf. The main purpose of the base is to get the shelf high enough so it's up above the baseboard so I can push it all the way against the walls. And in the interest of getting it done quickly, I am actually using pocket holes to attach the base. Yes, that's right, I'm using pocket holes. I'm sure I'll never hear the end of that. So this jig has worked out quite well for drilling the holes and getting them all lined up. But what I would do different next time is I would make it out of a piece of wood that's the same thickness as what I need to drill into, and that way to clamp it to the edge, I just need to screw another piece of plywood to the side of it. And for on here, I can just screw it on from the bottom the same way. And one thing that's worked out really well while making the jig is to cut a thin slot along the line of the holes, because that helps to guide the point of the drill in this direction, which means I only need to worry about getting it just right in this direction.